What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Friday edition of Burn It Down with Kim Brown. How's everybody doing? Yes, It is us. We are here on our regularly scheduled day for our program. I'd like to welcome everybody to the show. Hold on. I'm a little this week's word seems to be discombobulated. Let's go with that. I need to log into the ain't this a bitch? I'm trying to get to the show, everybody, so I can welcome everybody in the chat. Hope everyone has had a pretty good week. If you are joining us from Los Estados Unidos, my condolences, because you are still here in this colony along with the rest of us. Here we are colonized together. It is not fun. It is not fun. I don't support that at all. Where is the show? So I'm sorry, guys. I'm having a bit of a time. Anywho, there we go. So I'd like to welcome everybody to the program. We had some new people following us as well. Welcome to all the new subscribers who are joining us. Hopefully you've seen our ad floating around the YouTube streets. So I'm so glad that you decided to come on over and hang out with us. Here we go. What's up, Shirley? What's up, Sugar Booger? What's up, Chuck Diesel? Who else we got in here? Latif. Thank you so much, Latif, for your very generous Cash App supporting the platform. We certainly appreciate all of your support. David Silberg is here with us. Franny Francais, estás aquí. What's up, Afra Sings? Afra says, what is LDI? LDI is the Last Dope Intellectual, which is the show hosted by Dr. CBS and Dr. Layla Brown. It's a very good program. So we support LDI over here. We always support Black women doing everything, especially good sisters like Layla Brown and Sharice. So yes, Afra, she asked, what is LDI? LDI, the Last Dope Intellectual. Find them sisters on these YouTube streets and subscribe to the program. It's a good show. Estás aquí. What's going on, Afra? Yeah, baby. Am I still on BPM? Who said that? Jordan? So, Jordan, you may have missed the show from last week, but I'm taking a little bit of a hiatus from BPM. I will be rejoining the good folks over there on the Remix Morning Show next year, January. So, we're just taking a little break, a little pause from the cows. Everything is good. All, C4 to your door. No beef, no more. We good over here. Yeah. So shout out to you, Okada. Thank you so much for checking in, bro. We love to see you up in here. Who else did I see? Oh, Valley Girls. Hi, Valley Girls. Valley Girls is a wonderful supporter of the channel. So thank you guys so much. So coming up on today's program, everybody, I know I teased it on Wednesday, and I'm gonna make time today. And I know that Chris Cuomo story is old and stinking. I do not care. I have been dying to dunk on Chris Cuomo for a whole week now. After he lost his job at CNN, lost his job at Sirius XM, lost his book deal, and now that nigga looking real funny in the light. And for most of us, he looked funny, period. You know what I'm saying? Light or dark. It was perfectly clear. So I'm going to take a few minutes at the end of the program to dunk all over Chris Cuomo because, we don't see career collapses like this. Not from those kinds of folks. It doesn't happen very often. Does not happen very often. Also coming up on today's program, we're going to be talking about the contrast in the way that two very high-profile court cases were resolved this week through jury verdicts. Of course, we spoke about Jussie Smollett here on the show earlier this week. And as I'm sure you all know, Jussie Smollett was found guilty of those little bitty felonies that he was charged with in connection to an alleged hate crime committed upon him, whom he initially said was MAGA supporters, and then it turned out it was, a bunch of drama, right? But they found Jussie guilty, and everybody on Fox News cheered. The Daily Caller rejoiced. But they was really quiet about reality TV star Josh Duggar. He is one of the sons of Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar, Keeping Up with the Duggarses. I don't know what the fuck was the name of their reality show, but it is, the white Christian couple from Arkansas who had a dozen plus kids, and Josh Duggar was one of those kids. Well, turned out Josh Duggar was not only molesting his sisters and molesting other young girls, but for this most recent court case, he was found guilty of downloading child sex abuse materials and watching child sex abuse materials, also known as child pornography. So I don't quite understand why I'm not seeing the same level of response nor reaction regarding Josh Duggar's conviction, considering that Josh Duggar was a predator consuming child sex abuse materials and allegedly abusing young girls, including girls that was related to him. But it's mad quiet on the right about that. Jussie Smollett just fucked himself up. Josh Duggar was out here ruining people's lives, including people he was related to. So we'll get into that just a little bit later on the program. But I wanted to start off with good news. We got some good news. I'm here for all the good news. Real quick, by the way, guys, if you want to follow us and support us places around the internet, we would certainly appreciate that. Please check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and someplace else. Twitch. Yes, we are there at BIDWKB. Please follow us, like, subscribe, do whatever that is. We're over on Twitter as well at Burn It Down KB. And you can follow us on TikTok. And if you want to support us materially, I thought I just heard the Cash App go off, and I did. It was Black Magic being her typical awesome self. Black Magic, thank you so much for your generosity, for your kindness, for your continuing support of this program. Thank you, Black Magic. Now, if you want to get with the good shit like Black Magic, you can hit us up on Cash App, $BIDWKB. We're also on Venmo at BIDWKB, PayPal.me/BIDWKB. Or if you want to become a patron, do so, please, at patreon.com/BIDWKB. Shirley, I saw that you re-upped on your membership, darling. Thank you so much for subscribing and becoming an annual member of Burn It Down with Kim Brown on Patreon. Shirley, we love you so much. And by the way, we're still doing the 15% off annual memberships. Now Shirley bossed up. I'm not going to even lie. Shirley bossed up for us, and we appreciate that. And listen, if your finances are not looking so strong as we head into the holiday season, no worries. If you support us at the $2 a month tier, for an annual membership is $20.40. And if you support us at the $5 a month tier, for an annual membership is $51. And you support us for the entire year for that. So I want to thank all 108 of our patrons. Y'all fucking rock. We appreciate you. We love you so much. I see my good sis, Coordinated Stallion, is in the building. What a good sister. Oh, Ursula Baptiste, I love you, darling. Hello, Ursula. And Tyler Hackner. Tyler, I finally said your name right for the first time, maybe ever. and you always leave us wonderful comments under the show. So thank you so much, Tyler. Thank you so much to everybody. But I want to start with the stories. Like I said, good news. So on the backs of the story that we talked about earlier this week regarding the 1,400 Kellogg's workers who still remain on strike after 9 weeks of walking off of the job, because Kellogg's is making money hand over fist. They had record profits over the past year. They compensated their CEO $11 million, and they are trying to engage in dividing and conquering their unionized workers. So what Kellogg's is trying to do is pay their veteran workers, their legacy workers, at a different tier than they are new hires. But y'all, how did I miss this? It got actually to be more sinister than that. So while Kellogg's is trying to divide and conquer their workers, their legacy workers versus their new hires, making sure that legacy workers still get their pension and their full health care benefits while denying those same sort of benefits to the new hires, it was even more sinister than that, y'all. Come to find out, Kellogg's was actually trying to hire new permanent workers to just erase their entire union workforce. And the kids, when I say the kids, I'm always referring to Gen Z and young millennials. The kids have found an ingenious way to thwart that. I'm going to talk about that after the Starbucks. But back to the good news. Okay, Starbucks. Well, fuck Starbucks, first and foremost, because Starbucks is another one of these enormously bloated corporations brimming with profits and record profits and amazing compensation packages for their executives and their board of directors, etc. But they pay their employees not so great and routinely try to deny their employees benefits. Well, as we have been reporting here on the program for a few months now, the workers at 3 Starbucks locations in Buffalo, New York, y'all, they have been trying to work very hard in trying to unionize Starbucks workers in the Buffalo area. And Starbucks, in response, hired one of the preeminent union busting law firms out there. They parachuted all their executives into Buffalo to have forced meetings with their workers, disseminating all kinds of anti-union propaganda, misrepresenting what exactly the union does. And despite all of this, the location in Buffalo actually was able to succeed in their unionization efforts. So if we look at A1 Tunde, yes, this is reported by Yahoo and a bunch of other places, but Starbucks workers at Buffalo store win union victory. The coffee giants first. This is a big deal, everybody. This is, to me, as potentially as big of a deal as if the Amazon workers in Bessemer were successful in their unionization efforts, right? Starbucks is one of these huge companies with deep pockets in order to bust any union efforts. And the fact that they failed and the workers won is a wonderful thing. Tune in, if we could look at A2, please. Okay, so this has been reported by WGRZ in Buffalo by their reporter Steve Brown. And Steve happened to be on the spot at the Elmwood Avenue location in Buffalo, New York, when the news was announced that the union vote had succeeded in the affirmative. Tunde, can we look at A2, please? Elation in Buffalo. Now, one of the stores, did not succeed in their union efforts. And I think the third store in question, they were trying to deal with some votes that had been challenged, but it looks favorable that even possibly a second Starbucks store in Buffalo could be unionized. This is huge news, y'all. This is a big deal. And I want us to take a look, just to give you guys an idea, at some of the kinds of tactics and efforts that Starbucks as a company rolled out in order to bust the union efforts and discourage, unionizing efforts in order to let people, have more control and have more power as workers. So More Perfect Union, of course, we love the work that they do at More Perfect Union. They do an amazing job of following the labor beat around the country and just do outstanding work. Today we're going to look at A3. So with this clip that we're about to see, More Perfect Union sat down with Brittany Harrison. Now, Brittany Harrison is a former Starbucks store manager at a store in, I believe, Mesa, Arizona. And when the news began to come out of Buffalo that, hey, these three Starbucks stores seem to be pretty serious about their unionization efforts, Starbucks as a company responded nationwide with anti-union propaganda. I mean, the unionization effort was happening in Buffalo, and Brittany, a former store manager, worked in Arizona, and she was even getting the shit. But I want us to hear directly from Brittany, whom, by the way, no longer works for Starbucks after receiving a cancer diagnosis. They tried to cut her benefits, tried to force her to work despite the fact that she was ill, and really treated her very poorly. Once Brittany was fed up with Starbucks' shit, she put in her 2 weeks notice, and then the company just flat out fired her, thereby disrupting her health benefits temporarily. And this is a woman dealing with a cancer diagnosis. So just it goes to show you that Starbucks does not really care about their partners. They care about profits at any cost. So I want us to hear directly from Brittany Harrison. Like I said, she's a former Starbucks worker. She sat down with a More Perfect Union. And Brittany is the one who is largely credited as being a whistleblower about Starbucks's anti-union efforts and the propaganda and the forced meetings that they were requiring their workers to go to. So let's hear directly from Brittany on that.
The meeting started with my district manager saying, let's talk about what's going on in Buffalo. It kind of all unraveled from there, and they started talking about the union, why the union is bad, why the union doesn't align with Starbucks missions and values, why partners who want to be part of the union aren't true partners to Starbucks. The union was painted in a very negative light, which made me uncomfortable because I have family that's in union. And so I'm sitting there while she's talking about how unions are like the Catholic Church because you have to talk to a priest if you want to talk to God, just like in unions you have to talk to a union representative if you want to talk to anyone. None of this makes sense. None of these things are appropriate to say. And you're saying how all of these partners want more than what they deserve? Why are we so anti-union? Like, this didn't make sense to me because the union doesn't affect the way that managers do their jobs. It just benefits partners. But I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, like, I'm complicit in this. I know these things, and if I don't say them to someone, I'm just as bad as the people who are saying them. And I shared some clips from the meeting that I had taken on my phone, and she was like, what is this meeting that you were in? And I was like, I don't know. All of the managers are apparently having this meeting right now. I was also the only manager in Arizona who apparently recorded that meeting. I guess it was kind of easy to narrow down that I was a whistleblower, which I didn't think of myself as until they started calling me, asking if I was the whistleblower. It definitely felt like an inquisition. It felt like I was in trouble for doing something that actually aligns with one of Starbucks' missions and values, which is acting with courage and challenging the status quo, which is what I felt like I was doing. I was standing up for my fellow partners, and I was in trouble for it. But they couldn't come out and say that I was in trouble for it, so they had to find some other reason for me to be in trouble. I went home and put in my resignation because this company clearly did not care about me. My district manager called me and was like, hey, I know you put in your notice. Are you still gonna work these final 2 weeks? And I said, yes, absolutely. And then she called me at like 9 o'clock and told me, I talked to corporate, and our policy is that if there's an open investigation against you and you put in your notice, we are to terminate you immediately. So effective 11/14, you have been separated from Starbucks. And I said, what open investigation? And she said, I can't talk to you about that because it happened in my district, so you're gonna have to call corporate and talk to them.
Woo, child. And they do white folks like that, baby. Just imagine how they treated their Latino or Black American or indigenous workers. They did the white lady like that. Y'all know Starbucks ain't shit out here. Mr. X in the chat said, now great. Starbucks coffee is going to go from $6 to $9 an hour. Now listen, Mr. X, let us be clear. Now I'm sure you were saying that tongue in cheek because you can't be over here besmirching the workers and bigging up the companies. This is not the place for you if that isn't your actual position. But y'all, come on. The news is coming out about how inflation has skyrocketed. Like, we are dealing with the highest level of inflation in nearly 40 years. I think November's inflation was up 6.8% over last year in November. And the usual talking points are, oh, well, the workers are, people have done these fight for $15 an hour minimum wage. And now these companies have to pay workers a higher minimum wage, not even a living wage. Let's be clear about that, but a higher minimum wage, which is driving prices up, and the pandemic and the supply chain all fucked up. Let's be fucking clear. All of these companies have made record fucking profits. Okay. If all the consumer prices that you and I have to pay for, food, gasoline, heating your house in the winter, all that shit, listen, I assure you, the niggas at Starbucks at the very top have missed no meals. These bammers have missed no bonuses. They have missed nothing pertaining to their compensation, and especially as it pertains to how the company performed, right? And now, not just Starbucks, all of them. Run them down. Amazon, Target, Google, everybody has done amazing during the pandemic, except, of course, for us, except for the workers. So when people start to regurgitate that same anti-worker bullshit that you're paying people too much, now these companies are going to be trying to grasp for profits. No, No, these companies are not trying to share profits with the people who actually provided them their profits, the workers, us, the consumers as well. I mean, and listen, Starbucks can totally afford to pay these people $29 an hour, $25 an hour even. And that's what it takes, unfortunately, to survive, to have a decent standard of living, that you are able to provide shelter for yourself, to provide food for yourself. These wages must go up, and these companies are disinclined to raise worker wages on their own, right? So if the legislators are not going to do it, or if they're going to do it piecemeal, or do it in such an incremental way that by the time we actually get to $15 an hour minimum wage, that's already still too low. That's not enough to live on, right? Which is basically where we're at right now. The only way to get these companies to be equitable with the workers is union power. That's it. That's it. Organized labor is the only way that workers in this country have ever achieved any gains. It's the only reason we have a 5-day work week. It's the only reason that we get some holidays off from time to time, right? It's all because of unions. These corporations were not going to come up with these initiatives on their own. So kudos to the Elmwood Avenue Starbucks in Buffalo, New York. We know that one of the other locations is working hard to try to get their workers and get their store unionized as well. By the way, Brittany Harrison, the woman that we just heard from, former Starbucks manager, Brittany's store, her former store in Mesa, Arizona, is actually attempting to unionize as well. Excuse me. My bad. This is the Mesa, Arizona Starbucks location at Power and Baseline. So if you know people in Mesa, and if you have not heard about the Starbucks workers in Mesa's attempt to unionize, if the local media is not covering this, you need to chin check them niggas. Not literally, but maybe drop them a sternly worded tweet, or put a post on their Facebook and ask them, how come we're not hearing about this unionization effort in Mesa, Arizona? Okay, so congratulations to the Elmwood Avenue, Buffalo, New York Starbucks location. This is tremendous news. By the way, I think they're represented by Workers United, and Starbucks, they're still waiting on Starbucks to actually formally recognize the union. And Starbucks, by the way, has already sent out a letter to its partners, its work partners at the Elmwood Avenue Starbucks location in Buffalo, basically saying that how disappointed they are, how disappointed the corporation is in the workers, and they decided to take this unprecedented step to show solidarity amongst each other. And the district manager, I believe, who signed the letter, if you go to More Perfect Union's Twitter page, they actually have the Starbucks letter up there, and the district manager had the audacity like, I don't want your fucking love. Run me my goddamn money. Run me my benefits. Like, cut the shit. We don't love each other. We don't love you hoes. We don't love you hoe ass corporations. We want our bread and our benefits. Okay, this is not, we are not friends. By the way, y'all already know this. Please do not treat your boss as your friend. Your boss is not your friend. Your boss is not your homie. Your boss is not your homegirl. No, your boss is your boss. Your boss is to make sure that they get the maximum amount of work output out of you while paying you the very least and giving you the very least in benefits that they have to, right? So we don't treat our bosses as friends. We clear? All right. Real quick, thank you so much, Afra. Afra just signed up to be a new patron, and Afra bossed up like Shirley. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for that, Afra. I certainly appreciate it. And Molly wanted me to share with you guys that we have crossed the 25,000 hour watch hours. Wait, yes, we have crossed 25,000 watch hours this week. That sounds good. Tell me what that means. This sounds good. So thank you all so much for watching and supporting. All the material support that we get, you know that we love it, but we we are just glad that y'all showed up and decided to spend some time with us, so we can shoot shit about the news, about what's happening in mainstream American culture and why it sucks. And I appreciate y'all so much for watching the program. Thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Who said HR is not your friend? Tell them, Jen. Come through. Come through. Yeah, y'all be very, very selective in what you decide to go to HR about. You'd be better off documenting for a while and then either go to the EEOC, which you may or may not get some sort of resolve, or document good enough and go find you a lawyer, an attorney. Yes, sue them bitches. Anyway, so Laura, what'd Laura do? Thank you, Laura Estrada. She dropped us what, a super chat? Oh, that's so kind. Laura, thank you. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Y'all are fucking wonderful. Hello, Damien. What's up, Stoner Loner? Hey, Elena. Shades is in the building. What's going on? Yes, yes, yes. Okay. I'm feeling much better now. I was in a tad bit of a mood when we started because we were having some technical difficulties. Y'all see, I'm on this camera. I'm on the laptop camera when we had our nice camera. And the shit is not compatible with old people, and I'm very disappointed. But anyway, I want us to move along because Elena is in the building. Shades is in the building, and I'm glad to see Shades because I know Shades is young. Shades is a 20-something. Now, Shades is the young person in here hanging out with the rest of the old people, okay? Because I have looked at the demographics of who watches this show, and it is 35 to 65 heavy, heavy, which is fine with me. Because, you know, I'm old with y'all. So we be in here old together. But I'm very encouraged when the young people decide to stop by and hang out. So thank you, Elena. And Elena, this story is for you, my darling, because Gen Zers, and I keep slapping my leg. Don't ask me why. Gen Zers and young millennials, what I appreciate about this generation's in particular is that they have peep game early. They have understood and very quickly processed the fact that, hey, you know, this capitalist shit is some fucking bullshit. You mean I gotta get a low-paying job, work the shit to death in order to pay rent, in order to keep food in my belly, in order to keep gas in my car, in order to pay my car insurance. They get to pay me damn near nothing, work the shit out of me, and make me thank them for the opportunity of exploiting my labor, right? And Gen Zers are like, we don't like how this is going. So they have been creative in creating some work disruptions. Okay, the anti-work movement is something that I think we all need to be paying attention to, because I think in part I am also a participant in the anti-work movement. Not so much that I am lazy or do not want to work, but it has everything to do with the fact that working in a corporate space, I believe, will kill you. I believe it puts people into early graves. I certainly firmly believe that 100%. And especially if you are a Black woman, a woman of color, LGBTQ person, like that stress fucks up your heart, fucks with your blood pressure, gives you an increased chances of stroke. You're seated in a seated position for hours upon hours, fucking up your circulation. Like everything about the American corporate work environment to me is all toxic. It's toxic physically, it's toxic mentally, it's toxic emotionally. So for some of these younger people, Gen Zers and young millennials, them niggas be like, hard pass, hard pass. We are gonna gig this shit up. And there's obviously a lot of pitfalls to the gig economy as well. But I understand the sentiment in which it was born out of, right? People want to work for themselves. They are tired of working and making corporations rich and driving up their profit margins while we can barely afford to buy homes. We can barely afford to pay our healthcare premiums because, again, we live in a country that has no social safety net. So, you know, if America was taking care of your health bills, what would your bottom line look like? It'd probably look a little bit different at least. But back to the anti-work stuff. Okay. So pop up B1 for me if you could, Tunde. So reporter Kurt Eichenwald. Is that how Kirk says his name? Well, fuck it. That's how we saying it today. Kirk Eichenwald. Kurt reported earlier. I'm gonna read this tweet to you. Kurt says this. I told earlier how Gen Z crashed Kellogg's website by submitting bogus applications online when it sought job applications from strike breakers to replace union workers. Well, there's an update. One of them actually wrote a program which uses random data to submit bogus applications to Kellogg's 24 hours a day. So, what does that mean for all of us who are not necessarily program writing inclined? What does this information mean? So, as I mentioned earlier, Kellogg's, in an attempt, by the way, to break the strike, is seeking permanent workers to replace its striking union workers, right? And they have job postings online, apply, work at Kellogg's, right? Of course, fucked up because they are disregarding the union, and that is not how we play ball here, right? But these are corporations, so they play ball the way that they want, which is the capitalist way, which means shit on workers by any means necessary. So in response to that, some enterprising young people have been submitting bogus Kellogg's applications to their site, right? To the point, as you heard, I just read from the tweet from Kirk Eichenwald, that it crashed their site, which is awesome. So I want us to take a look, actually. This is a TikToker by the name of Black Madness 21. Black Madness, who happens to be a young black man, which is wonderful, or a young black person, give us a tiny glimpse into the program that they wrote in order to crash Kellogg's website in their job application portal, because fuck Kellogg's, they are trying to break the strike, break the union workers. By the way, remember guys, we are still standing in solidarity with the workers, and we are not buying Kellogg's products until they come to a fair and just resolution with their striking workers. But I want us to take a look at this clip. This is going to be TikToker Black Madness 21 telling us, and I don't know how many of us are actually going to understand, but trust that the young person is telling us what the fuck we need to hear about how they are using their technological skills to fell, at least in part, some of these greedy corporations.
Well, it's about that time again. Y'all remember this? Well, apparently Kellogg's is planning to replace workers who are fighting for better workplace conditions and better pay. And so people over at the anti-work subreddit have found out they're using these websites to do it, these locations. So you know what I had to do? I had to cook up a little something, you know? I'm not going to try to explain exactly what this does. I'm just going to show you. Go ahead and run the code. Paste one at random, one of the 4 websites. Starts up an application. You need to sign in. Okay, well, it goes through the process of signing in. Goes ahead and does the privacy agreement itself. Goes ahead and creates an account. Oh, and then it fills everything else in. All of it, including filling out the resume. And then it automatically applies. Application has been sent. And in case you're wondering, yes, all the data is relevant data. Zip codes match, cities match, states match, it all matches up perfectly. I'm still working on the rest of the fields, but not bad for a day's work, I'd say.
Not bad for a day's work. Thank you for that, Black Madness 21. And yes, y'all, that is just one way in which the kids are, and I say kids, of course, with respect, but excuse me, that is one way in which the kids are striking back against the greedy capitalist empire, of course, the corporations that enact all of this shit. Another way is a story that I saw reported in Vice. If you could pop up B3 for me, Tunde. Laura Gurley, I think is the reporter saying, let me get that right. So businesses in their office places have been receiving anti-work manifestos from some enterprising hackers. The hackers have been flooding printers, business printers across the internet. They're printing out a manifesto that encourages workers to discuss their pay with coworkers and pressure their employers. Okay, actually, this was written by Lorenzo Franceschi for Vice. And I think that's pretty interesting. Now, this is the kind of, I guess, anti-propaganda or reverse propaganda that Starbucks is doing. Like, Starbucks was forcing their workers to sit in anti-union propaganda meetings, captive audience meetings, meaning that they were not allowed to leave, right? They had to sit there and listen to all this anti-union stuff, as we heard from the former Starbucks store manager earlier in the program. But this is the response to that, or at least one of the responses to that. And just think about that, guys. Like, think about the ways in which that we are conditioned as workers to not question the boss, right? Most people, I'm going to imagine, most of us are genuinely unhappy at our jobs. I'm trying to think of a job in which I was actually happy. Like the job in which I liked going to and I was paid commiserate to my skill set and commiserate to the cost of living where I'm at. Like, could I support myself at this job regardless of how much I fucking liked it? Did it pay me good? And I'm having a time. I can maybe only think of, one or two instances in which I enjoyed the job in which I was working. But think about how much we are discouraged from asking other coworkers, like, so what do you make? Like, what did they hire you as? And I think in part it's because, well, let me just speak for myself here. I try to mind my business. Okay, I try to stay out of other folks' business, and counting other people's money is a bit of a social faux pas, right? And I know it's not technically counting other people's money. We're gaining information that we can collectively use in order to better our collective situation as workers, right? But it's like, what do you do with that information when you, let's say, are a Black woman or a Latina woman or a non-binary person or an indigenous person whom automatically falls at the lower end of the pay scale, right? Because that is just to reinforce the social hierarchy, right? Like Black women and Latina women and indigenous people and LGBTQ people of color are paid less because that's the way America wants it, right? So what do you do with that information as a Black woman when your white male coworker tells you that they're getting paid $20,000 more or $15,000 more in annual salary than you for doing either the same work or for being less skilled, having less education? I mean, y'all, this happens. This is so fucking standard. It's almost nauseating. Do you guys know that Black people who have bachelor degrees, who have graduated from college, have a bachelor degree, usually earn $10,000 less than a white man with a high school diploma? I remember finding out that stat like in 2012, and I don't think that it's changed very much. And I wanted to throw everything out the goddamn fucking window. Like, it's enough to really incite you to fury, if not violence. Like, bitch, what the fuck did I just go into debt for getting a college education if the white man next to me with less education than I is getting paid $10,000 more? I mean, at a certain point, shit has to stop. Or we have to remove ourselves from the labor force, right? Like, y'all don't even get a chance to exploit me anymore, bitch. You're not going to even see me. Damn if you're going to see an application with my name on it come through the door. Anyway, there's that part. There's that part. But please do not believe the hype. When people start to talk this shit about the reason why prices are so high is because, these people getting paid $15 an hour now, $18 an hour now. Oh, man, all the prices is going to go up. No, that is not the problem. That is not the reason. It has everything to do with corporate greed. These corporations are seizing an opportunity to squeeze out the maximum amount of revenue and profits. They don't care if it comes at the expense of consumers. They certainly don't care if it comes at the expense of their workers. So please, when you hear that propaganda being recycled, God forbid it's being recycled by somebody close to you, but especially when you see it on the news, critique it, call that shit out right away for what it is, and observe the ways, by the way, in which the media offers all of this protection for these corporations, because of course we live in corporate controlled media times as well. But the media is not going to talk to you about the record amount of profits and compensation that these companies and their executives are receiving. They're going to talk about the price of gas. Why is gas so high? Oh, it must be the shipping delays. It must be the supply chain. Anyway, little break real quick. Thank you so much to everyone that is standing by watching us today on the Friday edition of Burn It Down with Kim Brown. Please give us a thumbs up, a like if you don't mind, if it's not too much trouble. Thank you and thank you and thank you. And thank you to everyone that has been supporting us here on the platform. Thank you, Afra. Thank you, Laura Estrada. Thank you, Black Magic. We appreciate it all. I'm just so happy y'all are here. The fact that y'all dropped some coins in our bucket, you know, that's icing. A cherry on top. It's amazing. It's incredible, and I'm very, very appreciative for it. The next thing I wanted to talk about has to do with some high-profile celebrity trials came to a conclusion this week. Okay. Now we talked about this Wednesday about Jussie Smollett, the actor from the hit series Empire. And I know a lot of y'all hated on Empire. Let me stand up and say I liked Empire. I enjoyed Empire. I love Taraji P. Henson and Terrence Howard together. I think they have fantastic on-screen chemistry. And again, I think they tackled a lot of topics that were extremely timely, including mental health. One of their sons, Andre, had a mental health problem, and tackling Lucius, played by Terrence Howard, tackling Lucius's raging homophobia against his son Jamal, which is the character that Jussie Smollett played. So Jussie Smollett is LGBTQ proud, and was really positioning himself as like that guy, right? As like the black gay guy that is very palatable. You know, he reads very cis, right? And extremely palatable to mainstream America, right? I think Billy Porter actually stepped in where Jussie got snatched off, right? Jussie was filling that role because you know how America is. We can only have one nigga at a time doing shit, right? Only one gay nigga at a time doing shit. So when Jussie fell off because of these allegations and these charges, you know, Billy Porter filled that role, which is fine. The more the merrier. But when it comes to this particular case, I already explained to y'all my personal suspicions, my skepticism about Jussie's story. This shit don't sound right. Jussie said he was attacked by MAGA white people, had a rope in the shape of a noose around his neck, and that he was beaten. Okay, the evidence that I saw didn't suggest that. But the issue that I had confirming, or rather firmly saying, that Jussie Smollett deserved to be tried for lying to the police. The only, my big misgiving about that has everything to do with the police that were making the allegations. And of course, we talk about Chicago police. Chicago Police Department is notorious for lying, for making up shit, for killing people and trying to cover it up, for killing children and trying to cover it up. Laquan McDonald, Adam Toledo, to just name a couple. So I'm like, we gotta consider the source here. Wait a second. I know just this shit don't sound right, but these Chicago Police Department niggas are sketchy at minimum, right? They are horrific and flagrant at maximum. So this week it was revealed, or at least the jury came back, that Jussie Smollett was guilty on 2 felonies, including lying to the police, making a false report. And for that, he is going to be sentenced in I think, a few weeks. It's not likely that Jussie Smollett will do jail time, though he could face as much as 3 years in jail. Because he has no record, no prior criminal record, he is probably going to be dealing with some sort of probation and community service, okay? But at the end of the day, let's say I do believe the cops, okay? Who did Jussie hurt? Who did he hurt? Like, who actually was harmed? Him, and him alone, right? That's it. Jussie has not worked really since this entire incident. His spokesperson said that he's lost out on a lot of, income opportunities and career opportunities. I mean, his career is pretty much stymied. I can't say that his career is over because, of course, this country likes a comeback, but not when it's niggas, though. Certain niggas. It's weird. Like the one I'm thinking about who was allowed to make like an amazing comeback is really Mike Tyson, right? Mike Tyson went to penitentiary for rape, which is another conversation I would like us to have on a different date, by the way, because I am curious, not curious, but it's interesting to me the way that convicted rapists are let back into the fold, right? And again, I'm just going to leave that there. I don't know. But Mike Tyson is like a pop culture icon, right? Mike Tyson is in The Hangover. Mike Tyson got a podcast. Mike Tyson doing all kinds of shit, right? But that's not usually how that goes. It's not usually how that goes. And again, there was decades in between from when Mike Tyson was convicted of rape and then he is enjoying this fame as the friendly guy, as the nice guy, right? As the cuddling Mike Tyson, right? I'm not sure if that is in Jussie Smollett's future. It's going to take, he's going to have some real allies in this business that are going to have to look out for him and cast him. But even still, if he does get a job opportunity, it's going to be met with a bunch of bullshit from the right wing, which for reasons I can make some guesses. But for some reason, the right just really seized upon Jussie Smollett's case and really used it as red meat in a way for their base. That this black gay man concocted this story, and I think it because also MAGA had to do with it, right? Because the MAGA people are still in ways trying to defend their racism and their homophobia and their misogyny, and they're like, no, we're not really like that. See, it wasn't us who beat up Jussie Smollett. It was somebody else. It was them other niggas who beat up Jussie Smollett, right? But they have really seized upon this case and now his conviction with so much enthusiasm. I mean, shit, they are downright giddy about Jussie being convicted. But it's so interesting to me. Thank you, Schultzy100. I love you, sweetheart. Love you. Thank you so much, Schultzy. It's interesting to me, though, I am not hearing that same kind of fervor from the right or from the mainstream regarding the conviction of Josh Duggar. Now, if you're like me, I only know of the fucking Duggars because not because I ever watched the shit, but because whenever there is that kind of story, it's something about country white folks that America can't get enough of. Think Duck Dynasty. Think Honey Boo Boo. Think all these rural or country white folks that America just loves their stories. Or well, rather, let me rephrase that. Not so much that America loves their stories, is that American corporate media loves to bring us their stories, right? Whether or not we asked for them or not. And the majority of us were like, nigga, nobody asked for this shit. Nobody gave a fuck that these people having 17 goddamn kids in the middle of Northwest Arkansas. But for those who may not be familiar with Josh Duggar, I want y'all to look at this clip that we're going to put together. And the first clip is actually going to be from Dr. Oz. Forgive me. I apologize to you in advance for using a clip of Dr. Oz. But it wasn't even Dr. Oz reporting. This was on Dr. Oz's show. And his in-house reporter put together this synopsis about Josh Duggar. And that clip is going to be followed by the decision that the jury rendered this week by KARK News 4 TV straight out of Little Rock. Who is that? John Coyster. John! John. Do y'all see John in the comment in the chat? John Coyster, first of all, John, thank you so much for your super chat support. We love you to pieces. John says he gave me $10, and John says, "Is this enough for a dime bag? It's been a while." John, baby, if you can find somebody that's going to sell you a dime bag, I would encourage you to take that $10 back and go get you a dime bag of weed. When's the last time y'all saw dime bags for sale? Show of hands. Show of hands. I have not seen a dime bag for sale in quite some time. John Coyster. John, how they sell it now is by the gram. Usually the smallest amount you can get is 3.5 grams. And because weed is so amazing these days in the US, it usually go run you about $50, $60, depending on what it is. So, but I appreciate your $10, John. I will take your $10. I will apply that $10 towards a solid eighth, an eighth of some good. FYI, sidebar. So we was tripping shrooms last night, right? We had some shrooms. Oh man, the shrooms. Mwah. Who's in Oregon? I know we got some Oreganders up in this bitch. How is that shroom situation looking in Oregon? Can you just walk into the dispensary and purchase the shrooms or the psychedelics for sale like that? If so, we need to have a conversation. Well, we need to chat. We need to have a little conversation. Y'all need to hit me up in my DMs because I would like to speak with you. But anyway, tripping mushrooms last night. Shit was fun. It was really, really fun. And I contemplated doing shrooms before today's show, and my friend suggested against it. so I'm coming to you today very sober, but I am leaving the mushrooms on the table for a future show because we might do the shrooms and come talk to y'all. Hey, Franny French, where's Black Magic? Is Black Magic with us today? Black Magic is the one that told me that they got the psychedelics. It's either, I know it's legalized in Oregon. I don't know if it's for recreational sale, but who said that? You just moved from Oregon, Jen, and I don't think it was available. Now I'm at a place where shrooms are legal, and on the top of my list, yes, child. Mm-hmm. Yes, child. Anyway, I'm sorry. I got distracted by the shrooms. Where was I in conversation? Oh yes, Josh Duggar. Yes. So I want you guys to take a look at this clip. Two clips. First clip, summing up who Josh Duggar is, in case you were like me and could care less who the fuck Josh Duggar is. But we're using this contradiction of coverage, right? It's amazing to me how a gay black man who harmed no one but himself. Okay, I don't fucking care if he cost the city of Chicago a few $100,000 in wasting their investigation. Chicago police waste that much goddamn money every fucking day, okay? Let's be perfectly clear about that. But the white Christian man who comes from a good family and is himself a family man, his conviction regarding child sex abuse materials skates very low under the radar when it comes to mainstream outlets, especially coming from the right. So let's take a look at these clips, please.
Shocking new allegations against disgraced reality TV star Josh Duggar. Just days after his wife Anna announced their 7th pregnancy, the 33-year-old was arrested in Arkansas. Prosecutors claim they discovered more than 200 pornographic images of children on his computers, some allegedly depicting toddlers as young as 18 months old being sexually abused. Josh is the oldest son of Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar, whose enormous brood was featured on one of TLC's top-rated shows, 19 Kids and Counting. And at the height of their popularity,
please welcome the Duggars!
The entire family even appeared on this show.
In one word, what is the best part about living in a big family?
It's very, very special.
Close-knit.
But just 2 years later, in 2015, the family's first shocking controversy. A disturbing police report surfaced from nearly a decade earlier. It claimed that Josh, then a teen, had molested 5 underage girls, including 4 of his sisters. He apologized in a Facebook post, but no charges were ever filed against him, and the statute of limitations had expired. That same year, the staunch family values advocate was outed as a customer of the notorious cheating website Ashley Madison and publicly apologized for being unfaithful to his wife. Josh is out on bail but must wear an ankle monitor and live with third-party custodians. He has pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of possessing and receiving pornography and faces up to 40 years in prison if convicted.
and the jury came back with their verdict mid-morning, deciding guilty on both of those child porn charges. Over the last 6 days of the trial, the U.S. attorney said Duggar was the only one there at the time that illegal child sexual abuse material was being downloaded and viewed on his computer. The defense has been reiterating points, saying the investigator ignored other possible suspects because, quote, they were so starstruck about the possibility of prosecuting Josh Duggar. The U.S. attorney and the defense spoke right after that guilty verdict.
Regardless of their status in society, regardless of their wealth, regardless of their fame, this case shows that no person is above the law.
We respect the jury's verdict and we look forward to continuing this fight on appeal.
You heard the defense's comment there. It was very brief, only a sentence or two, but you heard him say that they do plan on appealing today's verdict. There were brief arguments on Duggar's custody status, the judge ultimately ruling that he will remain in jail while awaiting sentencing. That is expected to happen in about 4 months. He faces up to 20 years in prison and hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines.
I'm surprised that the judge decided to keep him in jail. Again, I always expect white folks to get treated with kid gloves. So when they get what I like to call the nigger treatment, it's always kind of shocking to me. Like, really? They didn't let him out of jail? I'm surprised. Not that I thought he should be out of jail, but again, I just expect white folks to get softer treatment. And I don't expect that Josh Duggar is going to get the book thrown at him for these charges because, after all, these are technically his first convictions. Y'all heard in the Dr. Oz piece that this man was accused of molesting 5 underage girls, 4 of which were his fucking sisters. What kind of shit is that? And it leads me really to believe that part of the reason why the right is so anti-choice, anti-abortion, pro against, being in support of birth control. It's like, do y'all just want more kids on the planet for y'all to molest? Like, I'm confused. Like, all this nonsense about we must protect the children, all life is precious. How come that life precious shit don't apply to actual children who are walking the earth, to children who are being preyed upon by predators like Josh Duggar? You understand? Like, at some point, well, anyway, I never expect the right to put down their hypocrisy because, they live on it, right? Their heads would explode if they were to actually admit to themselves that they could give a fuck about the sanctity of life, because once the kids get here, start breathing, talking, walking, and shitting, they could care less what happens to them. They don't care if they get molested. They don't care if they have enough food to eat. They don't care if they have access to good health care, and they don't care about any of that. It's just making sure that the born arrive, because people like Josh Duggar, they need new victims, right? And there was another. Oh, now I'm going to get mad at myself because there was another son bitch. There was another one of the right-wing heroes who was recently disgraced. And I can't call it what it is. Molly, do you know what I'm talking about? If you do, can you slack me? If you don't mind. So why such the difference in coverage between Jussie Smollett, what he did, that only harmed himself, and Josh Duggar, who was convicted now of possessing and downloading child pornography with prior accusations of outright child molestation? Is it because that those kinds of white folks, white, cis, straight, Christian, this is their country, y'all, and those folks by and large get to do whatever they want to do, or they get to do it for a prolonged period of time and are able to amass more and more victims before they're finally stopped? And I don't know whether or not, stop it. Who said that? Franco said, but he did it in the name of the Lord. He downloaded those child sex abuse materials because Jesus told him to. And Jesus said it was fine. Come on now. I think that Jussie Smollett made that shit up. Okay, I can't even sit here and act like I think Jussie Smollett is telling the truth. I don't. I think Jussie Smollett made up that story. I'm not sure. For sympathy, the prosecution alleged that he made up the story in order to further his career. And I'm like, well, that was a terrible career decision there, Jussie. So while I don't believe that Jussie Smollett is innocent of the things that he is now convicted of, I do believe that he was only persecuted because of his race, because of his sexual identity, and because he lied to the police. And the police that he lied to are infamous, notorious for making sure that N-words know their place. Okay. And this was all this trial was to make sure that Jussie, on an individual level, knew his place. And if the rest of you ends out there got any ideas about making up some lies against the police, you will be persecuted and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Don't get no ideas about lying on the police, even though the police lie to us every single day, unflinchingly and with straight faces, right? This was a message to be sent to our community, the Jussie Smollett conviction. Meanwhile, Josh Duggar, the message being sent to his community is make sure you get a VoIP that you able to download your child pornography in peace and in a way that it cannot be traced to you. Because hey, if you touch on a few underage girls, we'll look over that. That's no big deal. But don't get caught downloading child porn. Message sent, and the tweet has been sent. The last story I want to get to, guys, has to do with Chris Cuomo. Now, I know y'all like, Chris Cuomo, Kim, that shit was last week. I don't care. I do not care, because this is the kind of shit that tickles my funny bone, baby. Okay, so y'all know I worked in media for a long time, okay? And there's a lot of nepotism hires that happen. And I'm sure in every industry, right? This is not exclusive to media, but media is the shit I care about in this moment, right? And it's all kinds of, oh, well, that's so-and-so's son or daughter, or her uncle is the GM, or their cousin is the da-da. It's all that shit, okay? And so Chris Cuomo, to me, is the prototype of that. Chris Cuomo, to me, is the prototype of the untalented, mediocre kid whom really could do anything that they wanted to do because of the family and the wealth. I don't know what the Cuomos is worth, but I'm sure they worth more than my family, right? The Cuomos probably sitting on a little bit nicer shit than my family is sitting on, right? So Chris Cuomo comes from all this privilege and decides that he wants to be a journalist. I guess like Anderson Cooper, right? Oh Jesus, what the fuck is wrong with CNN? Can CNN hire someone that is not the spawn of the elite? Is that possible? Are there any job opportunities for regular people at fucking CNN? I doubt it. So Cuomo, to me, represents that. He represents that of which I despise the most. Untalented, but placed in a very visible position, largely because of whom and what he comes from. He comes from a politically elite family in New York. His father was governor. His brother was fucking governor. I'm sure if I dug a little bit deeper in Chris Cuomo's family tree, I'm sure he's got some other prominent people in there, okay? And don't even come at me about, all the Italians had to work hard to get, I understand that, okay? But we know, just like when the Irish became white, the Italians became white and accepted all the accoutrements of whiteness. so spare me that Chris Cuomo's great-great-grandfather came to Ellis Island in 1894. I don't give a fuck, okay? That nigga had his road and his plate set for him, okay? So, for Chris Cuomo to go down for supporting his brother in shady back channel ways, it warms my heart. It really does. It just makes me. I believe. I believe again, y'all. I have faith. I think that actually the world might change. Things could actually happen. Pop up D1 for me there, Tunde. What is this? That's an article. Yes. So Chris Cuomo, this past Saturday, got fired from CNN. Fired from CNN after previously being indefinitely suspended, right? And then it was revealed that he was leaving his Sirius XM show. Now, it was unclear as to whether or not he was leaving on his own accord, which might be, you know, the polite way that the elites deal with each other. Like, Chris, you done did some fucked up shit and we got to let you go, but I'm gonna let you quit. I'm gonna let you resign, just so you're not facing the double humiliation of losing both your jobs in the same 72-hour time span. Okay. So lost his job at Sirius XM. I can't believe this shit. And let me just say this, y'all. What has been reported about Cuomo and the way that he assisted his brother's team, Andrew Cuomo's team surrounding him when he was dealing with these harassment allegations, it's got to be way worse than that. Way worse than that. Like, I think what we are being told is probably only a fraction of what has actually transpired. And I have a feeling that the stories and the exposés about Chris Cuomo are soon to come. And I will be waiting here with bated breath. Pop up D2 if you could for me, Tunde. So did you guys know that Chris Cuomo had a book deal? Did you know that? Well, let me rephrase. Had a book deal. From Forbes, HarperCollins will no longer publish an upcoming book by Chris Cuomo, the former TV anchor fired by CNN last weekend, after new documents suggested that he offered frequent help to advisors for his brother, former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. I saw some other allegations as well. First of all, kudos, HarperCollins, well done. Sirius XM, well done. Fuck you, CNN, off principle. Y'all shouldn't have had that motherfucker sitting there in the first goddamn place. It was all kinds of conflict of interest and ethical violations for Chris Cuomo to sit up there and shoot the shit with his fucking brother, an elected official, a whole ass governor of a state. You have no journalistic integrity as a news outlet, and fuck you ongoing. Look at the clowns that CNN puts on their fucking station. Anyway. But like I said, kudos to Sirius XM and kudos to HarperCollins. Yes. But fuck you CNN, because y'all are shit anyway. But allegedly, a junior colleague of Chris Cuomo's, who now works at a different media outlet, has I've seen some whispers that perhaps Chris Cuomo was inappropriate sexually with some of his junior colleagues as well. So. It just warms my heart, y'all, because I feel as though we are at a time in our history, at least in the history of this godforsaken colony on North America, where people like Chris Cuomo and people like Harvey Weinstein and people like R. Kelly and people like Bill Cosby, like, the accountability is coming to them, right? Whereas 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, those same people or people in comparable situations, people who were abusers and preying on those under them, would not have been held accountable, right? Like, it just would have been like whisper campaigns, like, okay, well, if you got to go work with him, all right, but don't be in the office with him after 6 because he gets handsy. Like, it was that kind of shit, but not shit that motherfuckers actually had to lose their jobs over or defend themselves behind, right? It was just boys being boys. But here we are in a new time of sorts where there's some accountability, right? Like, Matt Lauer is gone. You know, Charlie Rose is gone. Now, I don't take a lot of solace, let's say, for those two in particular. Let's add Cuomo in there as well, for the simple fact that, bitch, when I hear cancel, I mean cancel. I mean, you don't have nothing. Okay, Matt Lauer is still a rich bitch, as is Charlie Rose, as is Chris Cuomo. So anytime people start, want to cry or shed crocodile tears over these folks, well, man, they had those long careers and they just lost them. Yeah, well, they lost their careers by their own actions, and they lost their careers and they are living extremely comfortably. Okay, all the bills are paid. The roofs are over their heads. They vacation wherever the fuck they want. So I am not going to shed any tears or have any sympathy for the likes of Chris Cuomo and Matt Lauer and Charlie Rose, etc., etc. So anyway, guys, let's call it a show. Cheryl L, thank you so much. Cheryl L just cashed out us $10 and from Mount High, Colorado. Cheryl, you should DM me, baby. From what I understand, and let me think about what I'm saying when I say this. But from what I understand, you know, the U.S. Postal Service is not at the top of its game by stopping trees for being sent in the mail. So that's all I'm gonna say. I'm not asking nobody to send me no trees. I'm just saying I heard the U.S. Postal Service is not quite on their job when it comes to packages coming from Colorado and Oregon and other places where greenery is legally accepted. But Cheryl L, thank you so much. John, thank you so much. Thank you, Shirley. Thank you, Afra. Thank you, everybody. Latif, thank you. Y'all fucking rock. Thank you, Sugar Booger. Frony Francais, my sis. Love you so much. We're going to see y'all back here on Tuesday. And it's going to be a little bit more serious because there were some stories I wanted to get to that I was not ready to go in depth on. Shout out to our good sis, Seattle City Council person, Shama Sawant. As you all may or may not know, Shama Sawant was facing a recall election. They was trying to get Shama Sawant off the fucking city council. It looks like she is going to prevail and hold on to her seat. So I wanted to wait till the outcome of that election was decided before we reported upon it. And the FBI said that they are going to abandon their police violence and police brutality database where they were collecting information about police shootings, police killings, as initiated by The Guardian and The Washington Post and a couple of other outlets who started compiling data about police killings. The FBI said they about to shut down their own database because they cannot get local police departments to cooperate. What? What? So these things are on the docket for next week. So please join us. We just dropped us something. T-Bone, we take that 5, baby. Thank you so much for that, T-Bone. Thank you, guys. I love you all so much. I'm so grateful for your support. On behalf of me, Tunde and Molly, we will see y'all next week. Don't forget, COVID is still out here jumping on people. So don't let it jump on you. Wash your hands, wear your mask, social distance, get your vaccination. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good one. See y'all later. Bye-bye.